Welcome to Simone Solwing's YouTube channel. My name is Simone Tilley, and today I'm so excited. I have a wonderful guest on today. Her name is Maya Boston, my dear friend, and I can just about say my saviour because everything you've brought to the world in the last few years literally changed my life and saved my life. Good morning, Maya.
Oh, good morning, Simone. Thank you so much for having me on your program and also inviting me to speak with your listeners.
I'm so excited. So I wanted to discuss with you about your what you've done on your YouTube channel in the last few years, starting with the self-love videos that you did, the Monday Morning Lovin', which I thought was a really hippie vibe. So why did you decide to talk about self-love in your videos, and what made you decide to talk about them?
Right. Well, what I was noticing with clients a lot at the time, and it still is to this day, there is a great need for people to understand self-love and to start practicing self-love. So my understanding is that self-love is the foundational building block upon which we build our spiritual journey. And if we haven't mastered self-love to some degree, we can't really continue on our journey until we have understood the importance of self-love. So hence the very hippie, and I was really trying to jazz it up, title of the Monday Loving, because it was all about loving ourselves, learning how to love ourselves. So
Yeah.
when I saw that there was a need for a lot of, not just amongst my clients, but I would have imagined around a lot of people, to understand self-love, then that's what was the motivation for me to start doing the videos on those specific, on the topic of self-love, which is almost like an umbrella topic. And then you've got all the different ways that I could possibly think of that had to do with self-love.
Yeah. Yes, it went for 9 months, and I say to my clients, you got to do this. It's a different topic each week for 9 months. There's so much in it. I know how it's impacted on my life. I know how it's changed my life. Everything you presented on your YouTube channel, the self-love, the multidimensional work, all that, changing my spirituality to be more than what it was, to encompass my true soul, literally saved my life. I literally would not be here. And we're not taught self-love in schools or in society, or even in our family dynamics. A lot of our families don't even know what love is. Some of us have had very poor upbringings, but it doesn't mean we need to perpetuate that. And if we want a better world, we need to embody the self-love and all the aspects that affect our lives so that we can pass it on to our children.
Yes,
So
exactly.
how has this information impacted your clients in their personal lives? Do you know? Have they given you any feedback?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you would be a very good example of what my clients would say about the effects they have experienced from practicing more self-love. It's the benefits of self-love are incredible. They would improve physical health. They would improve your mood, reduce stress, anxiety, panic attacks, self-doubt, worry, fear, depression. All those things start to lessen and or dissipate completely from from my clients' lives once they begin to understand what self-love is and to embrace the daily practice of self-love. So, it would improve your life to such a point that you would be living a more balanced life. It improves your relationship with others because you've improved the relationship with yourself. So taking good care of yourself means that you are not only able to give the best of yourself to others, but you provide also a positive role model for others.
Yes.
When you're doing this. So you mentioned about not having self-love in families and having poor upbringings. Well, this is where parents can begin to learn about this, and so that we can teach the children as well, the next generation, and it wasn't taught to us by the previous generation because they didn't know about it, and it didn't serve them either. Today we live in a very different world from the time that the world was in our parents' day, and what worked for them does not work for us. We know that if we do not take care of ourselves, then nobody else around us is okay. If we get sick, then we're not able to take care of our families. So this is why we need to self-love and to understand the importance of self-love in our lives.
Absolutely. And that kind of answered my next question, which was, for those who don't know, how does self-love affect people's lives? Well, you've basically covered that. It's health, it's spiritual, it's interrelationship. But what areas can self-love benefit a person where they might not be aware that self-love can have an impact on their lives? I know some of the videos that you put out, I sat there thinking, what's that got to do with self-love? But then you explained it. It was like, oh my God, it's so far-reaching. So what are some of the other subjects that you discuss when it comes to self-love? Things that people don't normally think about.
Right. So I did these videos a few years ago now, but from what I recall, there's things like judging yourself, keeping a positive mind, keeping your words positive and your thoughts positive. Personal boundaries, I think, was a big one as well. Things like self-doubt, discerning what is right for you and what doesn't feel right for you, which then leads to people pleasing. So there was quite a lot of topics that I discussed at the time that, I think when I was sitting and thinking what's the next subject, what's the next topic I'm going to talk about in the following week, then I was just finding that I could have gone on forever because there were so many different aspects to self-love that, like you said, we would never think about. But so often, our boundaries aren't in place. We allow bullying. We don't take care of ourselves. We give too much to others. I think that was another topic I spoke about. So really just learning to take care of ourselves so that we're in a good space so we can give the best of ourselves to others when the time comes. And it's really allowing the natural flow of the ebb and flow of life with as little restriction as possible, so that we are able to receive and to give, which creates potent changes in our lives and the lives of others around us. So it's really, instead of always running on an empty cup, on an empty tank, we're actually filling our own cup, and then we're in a better position to give to others when we do that. And then that just ends up snowballing because we're allowing more abundance, into our lives, more of everything, because abundance isn't just financial, it is everything. It's love, friendship, all sorts of things that we have, peace, all kinds of things that we have in our lives that should be abundant, and they're not, because we're not living a balanced life.
Yeah. And one of them that really hit home for me, apart from, the boundaries, and was when you spoke about, you did a few on self-esteem and things like that, but, changing the wording like you did, that, people say, oh, you're worthy of this. That doesn't mean a lot. But when you say you're deserving of this, when you feel you deserve to have this abundance, it's just a tiny, same word, same meaning, but just a different way of phrasing it. It's just like, pow, just, so it's like, I deserve to have this, and I deserve to, to be free, and I deserve to bring all this into my life. And it affects everything. It affects, like you said, your interaction with other people, but it also affects your business if you're in a business. It affects your work, your relationship you have with your job, and everything. And you would have normally thought, well, what's that got to do with self-love? But it's like, wow, it does have an effect. And I love that you have a different meditation for each subject, because it's specific for that subject of the day. I really, really love that. And I think it's really important, because a lot of people use the same meditations for different things. It's like a cover meditation type thing, like a cover song, but you do something unique, something different each day. And what I was impressed with was that the meditations didn't have to be long. We were always brought up, in the spiritual community, I got to meditate for an hour. I can't do that. Even now, since I got really, really sick, my focus is just not there. And at the time, I couldn't focus for more than 10, 15 minutes anyway. So watching you for half an hour was really pushing me at the time, not being well. But it was good that you had the short talk about the subject and then the short meditation, and I got so much out of that. It just completely changed my whole mindset, my whole physicality, my health. It changed my relationship with others, like you said, with my family. I wasn't snapping at them all the time, because I was feeling more calm and centered in myself. Yes, I had a few people that got upset with me because I started putting boundaries in place. But you got to move on to what's right for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I didn't like that I had boundaries anymore. One of my favourite ones I talk to my clients about, just as an example, is, we all have that girlfriend or friend that's a drama queen, and the sky's falling down every other week, and you've had a crappy day at work, and you've skipped lunch, and you're on your way home, you're just looking forward to putting your feet up, having something to eat, and just looking after yourself. And this friend rings up, and oh my God, the sky's falling down again. And what do? Do you drop what you're doing and go there, or do you go home and look after yourself?
Yeah. And remembering to say in a very loving way, to if you're choosing that you would go home and look after yourself, to say to your friend in a very loving way, I'm really not up for it tonight. Can I take a rain check, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow, or we'll reschedule, or whatever your phrase is. It's just and in that you're also creating the boundary. like, I'm not in a good space today, so I cannot help you. So let's reschedule our meeting. So there's a boundary being put in place. There's very loving words being said, and an example being set about, I'm not in a good place, so I've got nothing to be able to give you, and role modeling self-love for a friend.
And those sorts of people, they're draining anyway. I know that's harsh, but they are. But,
I think we all have them in our life.
Yeah. But like I say to my clients when I'm using that example is, you say, look, I need to go home. I've had a crappy day. Letting them know, they're not the only person in the world, in a loving way. And I need to take care of myself so I can do a better job in helping you. I will call you tonight or tomorrow. So they're not feeling abandoned.
Yes, that's correct.
But you're taking care of yourself. But if you have a friend who isn't like thriving off drama all the time, and they're in trouble, and you've had that kind of a crappy day, then, it's like, well, this is a genuine emergency. Sometimes you just got to drop what you're doing and go. But still, you need to.
You need to discern in those moments. Is this what you can do? Is this something that you can do to help your friend, or can you help your friend at a later stage when you're not feeling so run down yourself?
And can I direct other people to go and take care of them while I'm looking after myself?
Yes. Exactly.
I just had a thought and it's just fled my mind.
Oops.
Well, that's no good, is it? I'm doing an interview and I've just forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, well, okay.
So sometimes it's hard for people to start loving themselves, so we all have to start somewhere. So self-love needs to be something that you actively plan rather than something that just happens. So adding certain activities to your calendar that you think you might like to do, that you think might be an act of self-love towards yourself. Actively also looking for opportunities to practice self-love, and also announcing to your friends your plans about self-love. So I'm taking myself out to dinner tonight, or I'm taking myself to the movies, whatever it is. But when you announce it to other people, then that kind of increases your commitment to yourself to actually go through with it.
They'll probably say, I'm coming with you. It's like, well, hang on, I wanted alone time.
And again, you can place your boundary. You can place the boundary in. So over time, you're going to find your own rhythm and routine in this practice of self-love, and it's not something that you force yourself to do. It's really an activity that you love doing, something that you're passionate about, or something that you just like doing, and you haven't done for yourself in a long time.
And it's an ongoing process. It's going to take a long time to change these behavioural patterns, and I think that's why your videos went for 9 months, because it takes that long to shift and change and move things if you're really doing the work.
And there was there was a lot of aspects to talk about, a lot of topics to talk about, and not everybody needed all of them. Some people had some of them down pat already, and were requiring assistance in other areas. So it definitely is a dynamic system. It's not static. You'll be able to implement more and more and identify more as time goes on the particular forms of self-love that work for you, because you're going to try stuff and then it's going to not feel right.
Yeah.
and you're going to wonder why you thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
But, so you're getting to know yourself on deeper levels, and just being conscious. I think that's the thing that I really want to emphasize, being conscious of what you do, why you do it, how it feels, and what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Because if something isn't feeling right, or something doesn't feel good, or you didn't really enjoy it, then that's something you can strike off your list and find something else to replace it.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, it's tweaking it all the time.
Yeah.
And like you said, not everything will resonate with us, but like I say to my clients, watch it anyway, because there will still be something that'll get tweaked. Even though you got that right, you've got it down pat, you don't need to work on that issue, because you've pretty much got it sussed. But if you watch the videos and do the meditation, there's always that tiny bit of fine tuning that happens, and it shifts a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on that you're working on. It's really profound how you've got it working together so effortlessly, or it seems effortlessly, because we're just watching and doing a meditation, and then everything shifts completely.
Yeah.
It's really, really profound, and it's really deep work. And I'm so grateful and so blessed that we have you on this planet helping us through all this work.
Well, I'm deeply appreciative of your presence in my life too, Simone. Thank you. And I just also want to add, if we don't see an activity as self-love, then it's not going to work as such.
Yeah.
We have to actually see it and believe that this is a self-loving activity, and then that will work for us as well. But I, in terms of the meditations, you mentioned them a couple of times. I'd have to thank my guidance for that, because I was channeling the whole time. Every episode of the Monday Love-In had a channeled meditation, and although I tried, and I couldn't do a live gong sound bath, because the sounds, the vibrations of the gongs were really interfering with the technology. I had to pre-record the gong sound bath tracks, but it was certainly all channeled as well at the time. So I was quite blessed that all that information was coming through for me.
Yes. And just quickly, what you're saying about, that was my earlier thought, it's just come back. It goes around with me, it's around. When you told me once, a long time ago, to look into my heart if somebody asked me to do something for them, and if the answer is 85% yes, it's still a no. And if it's 95% yes, it's a yes. And I couldn't understand at first why you said that, but having worked with it for so many years, it makes so much sense, because if it's only 85% yes, and you think, wow, that's a lot, it's more than 50, right? But if it's only 85% yes, you do it with so much love, and then you feel resentful and you get angry, and then it's not coming from a place of love. So that's why it has to be 95% yes in your heart before you commit to something. And then the issue of saying no was a big one for me in the early years. It took me about 4 years to learn to say no. The actual word no. So what you taught me was that, how about saying, I can't do it right now. Can I do it for you next week? And you watch how quickly people either do it themselves or get someone else to do it.
And then if they're still stuck, then you can say, okay, I'm ready now, I can help you. if it's you know, the 95% in the heart. Otherwise, I will direct other people that can help them better than I can. And that's also a really good test of how committed they are to doing something. Because if they only want you to do it and nobody else to help them or teach them, then you gotta wonder what else is going on here for them, you know. So there's those things as well. And I'm very, very grateful too that you introduced me to your guests that you have on your video channel. There's the Heart Math Institute with Shamir Ladhani, and there's the Stargate Experience Academy with Prajeet and Julianne, and so many beautiful people. Kahuna Kalei, I can't say her name, but the most beautiful woman I have had the privilege to email. We've had emails in the past, not many, but because she's so busy and has her own things going on at the moment. But she sent me that blessing that she does at the beginning of each channeling that she does. So I do that every day.
Well, they're my personal friends, so I thought, and you know, I was meeting these people in my travels and getting to know them, and I just thought, wow, you know, they all think along the same lines I do, but they've all got their own perspective from which they look at this topic of self-love. So I think one of my most favorite interviews was with Peggy Phoenix Dubrow. She just has such an amazing energy. She channels the wisdom of the feminine divine, and she has a very, very special place in my heart. But then I had so many other interviews as well with people that you know, that I said are personal friends of mine, and we're all practitioners. We're all on the world stage, and we teach in our own from our own perspective the same thing. So I was thinking people could be looking at me and not understanding self-love, but if I got other people to talk about the same topic in their way, then, you know, again, there are other perspectives. And it might reach some other people that perhaps I couldn't. So
somebody can say something in 10 different ways, and the person still might not get it, but then somebody else says it in just that slight different way, and the penny drops. I'm a bit like that too.
Well, that's why we've got so many practitioners, because not, you know, one and so many different modalities, because one modality or one practitioner can't service everyone, so and everyone wouldn't be drawn to their energy. So that's why we're here as light workers, anchoring the light and assisting humanity in these first steps of into this golden age. And I know that things are a little bit difficult in the world at the moment, and it's hard to see the silver lining, but I assure you there is one.
Yes. It's scary and exciting at the same time to be living through this. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, it's like, oh my God, you know. But, you know, in a few years' time, we'll look back and go, yeah, that was it. And at the moment, we're just in, you know, you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. And again, this is where the self-love is so important, because, you know, so many spiraling into depression, so many are finding it difficult right now. But if we have the self-love, then the people in our lives will add to our lives rather than complete it, because we complete ourselves.
That's right. We and those of us who've been doing our inner work for a while now, we've reached a certain level, and we're still going through I call this time the Great Purge, and we're still purging and tweaking and readjusting things within ourselves. But then we have a whole new wave of people that are just beginning to awaken and who are going through the dark night of the soul, just like we did years ago, and who need our assistance and who need to understand self-love, because, as I said in the beginning, it's the foundational building block upon which we build the rest of our spiritual journey. And it really is necessary to learn this, because self-love is an act of nurturing yourself in a more conscious way than you have been. And it feeds your soul. And it's a deliberate activity in order to take care of your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. And that all of those topics are very current at the moment.
Yes, yes. And you introduced me to the 12 chakra system, which I've had the honour to receive more information on in the last few months. It didn't actually come completely together. I had all these questions about it, and I kept talking to my team. It didn't completely come together until I was talking to my friend up in Tom Price on the phone and stepping her through it. And she was asking those same questions, and the answers were just there. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, my first channeling.
That's wonderful.
And it's just like all the jigsaw puzzles just dropped into place. And I see the importance of expanding the 12 chakras, and how the higher heart chakra works with your DNA and your health, because it's on the thymus, and how it works with the Kundalini, which is your connection to source and everything, and to the earth, and how it affects your vibration and your frequency and everything. But it's because it's higher heart, it's universal love coming into the physical aspect, and then feeding your physical heart, and the back of the heart chakra is self-love. So it all works beautifully together, and I thank you for introducing those things to me.
You're welcome. And like you, I'm channeling, so I'm just bringing through this information, and then you receive it, and then you add your understanding to it, and expand the topic, and that's how light workers work together.
Yes. I couldn't have done it on my own, that's for sure.
And 12, 12 being the universal number, because it doesn't work in base 10, it works in base 12.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the 12 strands of DNA, which we will in this coming decade, I believe, we will also find out more about in a very scientific way, as inventions are discovered, brought into reality, so that we can see begin to see the quantum aspects around us.
Yes, yes. Oh, we won't recognize ourselves. It will be so exciting. And self-love is so important for these kids that are coming up now. The youngest ones, they don't have the amnesia that we have. They know who they are, and then they're coming into conflict with the ideologies of the school system and how society works, and they're getting confused, a lot of them. And if we have self-love and we're teaching them self-love, it'll make them stronger. It'll also make them more able to stand up for themselves and speak their truth, so that the world can change. It can become a better place, because that's what these kids are here to do.
And what you're describing there is change in the world, and it's a generational change.
Yep.
You know, the idea that a lot of people had in December 2012, where they thought they were just going to go to sleep on the 21st of December 2012, and on the 22nd of December they were going to wake up on another planet, in another dimension, all the things, all the expectations that were there at that time. Change never happens that way. Change in the collective, in the human collective consciousness, happens very slowly. And this is why there was a prophecy that this time we are taking everyone with us. And that's another reason why the change is so slow. It's a generational change.
Yep.
Maybe in 2 to 3 generations, if we were to come back in our next life, in 2 to 3 generations, the world would be very different to what we know it today.
Yeah.
But that's how long it would take to make some of those changes.
And also the change needs to come from us. We need to change ourselves. And we've been programmed in specific ways. We have to unprogram that to bring in the new program of love.
Yes.
And it starts
absolutely.
with us. We can't change anything. Nothing will change if we don't start the ball rolling. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was not part of the agreement of the previous generation, but it certainly is part of our agreement for our generation, and that we get the ball rolling on this for future generations, because the ascension process could not happen in any other way.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
So, how can people get in touch with you? How can they access? Yes, you've got a YouTube channel. Tell us more about that. How else can they get in touch with you? And what else can you offer your clients?
Oh, okay. So, yes, I have a YouTube channel, and as Simone has mentioned, I've got a lot of videos on there to do with the Monday Love-In and other interviews with the personal friends of mine, and channelings and gong sound bath tracks. So there's quite a wealth of resource there for anyone who is looking for some self-help, self-development kind of things to do that are obviously free of cost. And then, of course, on my website, you can find my website at www.mayagongs.com. And on there, I would obviously have all my services, and I also have a page dedicated to testimonials. So if you're thinking about what have other people experienced, you can read all about that as well on my website. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter as well, so you can always drop me a line and connect. And I'm really focusing on these many months focusing on transformational coaching. So I do a very unique combination of transformational coaching, which includes light language activations, because I speak light language. I speak several light languages, and some meditation. And of course, I always offer the personal gong sound bath track, which is a very unique thing that I do. I create a gong sound bath track with gongs, a light language, codes and frequencies, and toning. So using the 2 creative frequencies of the universe, light and sound, I'm tuning into your higher self, and I am singing the song of your soul back to you, which brings you back into balance, which brings you into a place of activating parts of your DNA to help you come into your balance. So that's basically what most of my work consists of these days. And it isn't up on my website yet, but I'm going to be putting up more about Lemuria. Lemuria is very close to my heart, and I've channeled a lot of information about Lemuria, which my Lemurian classes currently are being translated into Chinese,
Wow.
not just English. So
Wow.
I'm becoming multilingual as well.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been kind of quiet because I've been focusing on those. being translated into Chinese, and now I have to come back and just say them in English. That makes sense.
You don't speak Chinese though, do you?
No, I have a translator. Yeah. So he translates as I speak. So that the Asian market is also receiving of this information. So I know there's a lot of stuff out there about Lemuria, but I have been confirmed. It has been confirmed to me by several people that I am a high priestess of Lemuria, and I have seen it also in my travels as I've traveled to different power places on the planet, and as such, I'm remembering my past lives in Lemuria, and I'm bringing that information forward. And not just Lemuria, but of course Atlantis. I was an Atla-Ra priestess. That's come through quite vividly recently, and in Egypt, in the temples of Egypt. And I have several world known practitioners who have confirmed that for me and who have given me testimonials to that effect. So the light language and all of that heritage that I have in my Akash is really coming to the fore now to assist humanity as much as possible.
Oh, lovely. How exciting.
It is. We live in very exciting times. We definitely do.
And some of us just don't know where we're going, but we're just trusting that we're going in the right direction, because Spirit's like giving us a good shove up the backside to push us forward and say, you got to do that now. I'm like, oh, okay.
Always in the now moment, always in the now moment. So I wouldn't have thought that the light language would have brought me to be more of a transformational coach, but that's where it's leading me. That's where I'm finding that I have the most effect with the light language, and then obviously the gong sound bath track, because you and I have been friends for such a long time. You know my history and where I began with it all. So I back then I was thinking, oh, that's it, I'm just a gong sound bath practitioner, there's nothing else to it. But as the years have rolled on, it's expanded and become so much more than what I ever thought it could be. And so just staying in the now moment and just accepting what comes through for me, and just allowing the energy to flow, the universe to flow through me, to be of the greatest service that I can be to humanity at this point in time in history.
Yeah, and that's what we're all here for. And the now moment's such a still place, isn't it? It's like the middle of a tornado. It's still, it's gentle, it's quiet, and it's where we get the most from Spirit. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, sure. It's the 0 point, as I call it, the 0 point, when we reach that 0 point. And we have to be still and peaceful inside in order to hear the quiet promptings from Spirit. If we've got a head full of thoughts about what we need to do next, or what's happened in the past, and we can never hear the voice of Spirit or the universe flowing through you. So it can only be heard in the center, in that center of stillness within, in that 0 point within us, and that is the point also that I that one can access the God spark within, that I call the God spark, which is part of my Lemurian Circle of Oneness teachings, and that's our direct connection to source. And so from there, from that center of stillness, we can also de-stress. This is where our physical health would come from as well, and this is where meditation comes into it. It helps us to find that center of stillness, that 0 point inside. So and meditation isn't in the old way where we had to chant for hours on end, or sit on the floor tying ourselves up in knots, or whatever it was in the past. As you mentioned earlier, Simone, the meditations and they had such a great effect on you were only short meditations. And that's all it needs to be, is to sit somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed. It's to sit comfortably and to just go inward, to leave the thoughts behind, and to find that zero point of stillness within. And that's meditation these days. It's not, as you said, sitting meditating for an hour. Who has time for that?
I don't know.
Always so tired,
Yeah.
that we actually fall asleep after a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes when my life is really frantic and I've got so much on, I find a moving meditation works. Like if I'm sweeping the floor or watering the garden, then my best meditations are doing those things, not doing dishes. I don't like doing dishes, but mundane things like sweeping the floor or watering. I have acreage, so watering the plants, which is all gravity fed handheld hoses. So I'm standing there with the hose and I think the plants help too. I'm pretty sure the plants do help with that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So if you're in an apartment somewhere, you can put a nice pot plant in your room where you're sitting and doing your meditation practice. Have it next to your comfortable chair, and maybe some other objects that you like to have close by. Maybe that could be crystals or incense, whatever it is that you feel that would help you find that center of stillness. And of course, there is nothing that is in separation, as the Lemurian Circle of Oneness teaches us. We are all one. No, there is no such thing as hierarchy, and nothing is more important than anything else. That's why it's in a circle, and we are connected to everything. And so whether it be the plant world, whether it be the mineral world, whether it's the animal world, there is no distinction between them. We are all one. It is all parts of us are being reflected back at us.
Yes, that's lovely. Thank you so much, Maya, for speaking with me today. I'm very grateful. Thank you for being in my life. And I'm going to get all teary now, so I better go. Thank you so much for all that you do. And I'm truly blessed. We are all truly blessed that you're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simone, and thank you to your listeners, and thank you for inviting me to your show. And take care and be blessed, everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye for now.
Bye.